Salladhor mentioned crews without tongues. And I just...
Euron, again?
Yeah.
Euron's looming over this chapter, you say?
So
and, like, Claw
heavy.
Isle, he'll be looming over it. And, like, fucking Old Town, he'll be looming over it with Krakens. Like my dreams, he looms over them. Yeah, Euron Crow's Eye, scary. We don't like him. We haven't even met him. We don't like him.
You're freaking me out.
I'm freaking out, man.
I see that.
Why is there so much Euron in this fucking chapter? Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. The boy with the beautiful vocals is your host, Zach, sitting here, getting to enjoy them. My brother, Nate.
Enjoy.
Say hello.
Hello.
There you go. Hey guys, we're chilling, big chilling, not big chilling. I'm working a lot these days. Nate is as well.
Work.
But we're still trying to, we were discussing like this sort of hump that we're in recently, off mic, obviously. You haven't heard shit. And we kind of came up with like that this is the kind of information dump of all the stuff that's been building for the last 3 books.
Yeah.
And so there's lots happening. It's more
all the stuff that we've been talking about happening.
Right. There's nothing to really theorize about the things that are going on. It's more symbolism.
Also, to addendum, when this one comes out, we have like 4 episodes in the chamber. So
I'm saying they didn't hear shit of like our conversation off mic is what
sure.
I meant. Yeah,
Gotcha.
no. I'm aware of releasing episodes. So this episode, before we get, because I do believe we've forgotten the last couple times, we are a full spoiler reread podcast.
Right.
So if you haven't read everything published to the current point, and perhaps even including some of the sample chapters from Winds of Winter.
Don't we say it in the intro?
Well, we say, yeah, but like...
Your favorite full spoiler reread podcast?
Like, the intro,
Listen,
people
open your
tend to
ears.
tune out. Like, I do it too, so, you know.
Good gracious.
We will spoil the fuck out of you, so
Hell yeah,
don't listen. But this episode, we're reading Davos 5 in a Storm of Swords. Last episode, we were reading Tyrion 6.
Tyrion 6.
Last Davos chapter was a hot minute
ago. Yep.
That would be Davos 4. And in that chapter, Davos was released from prison after his attempted assassination of the Red Woman. And in his release from prison, he got to witness the gross leeching ceremony in which Melisandre tossed a couple leeches onto a brazier and said some king name. Well, Stannis said the names, and was hoping for some kings to die. And so we're checking back in, funny enough, with Davos. And guess what this fucking talk of the town is?
Right.
Salladhor Saan being like, hey, lots of people are talking about this little event that happened. Let me fill you in. There was a wedding
of the century.
You had to be there. You had to be there. The Red Wedding is being delivered to Stannis via Sala, and some pretty accurate details, considering he's clearly getting them piecemeal, but like he even gets the part of like, they fucking straight up nailed the wolf's head onto Rob's body and then nailed the cross, the crown to his head. Ha! Christ imagery, anyone? But
yeah, he definitely has, again, being the pirate that he is, I'm sure he interfaces with people from all over.
It's just great, like,
but to be able to get such an
credibility.
accurate depiction.
Yeah, Sala's pretty in touch with what's going on, and like I think that's cool to show his credibility of, we just witnessed this, and like, pretty fucking true to what happened, like, so we know at least Sala's shooting straight here. This is, of course, a meeting with Stannis, Melisandre, Queen Selyse, Axel Florent, Sala, and Davos. We are all chillin', vibing. Stannis isn't quite certain that this was R'hllor's work, because, he's Stannis. And Mel's like, his ways are hard and mysterious. Nate and I have been big into Severance lately. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Wonderful. But it reminds, like, the work is mysterious and important.
It's important and mysterious.
It's fucking Melisandre, dude.
Right.
Like,
Stannis wants to offer pardons. He
chomps on the word like it hurts him, which I love. But he is willing to offer pardons to White Harbor and the Iron Islands. But Melisandre's just like, it won't matter.
White Harbor, very important,
isn't it?
especially for little Davos here coming a couple books
You know,
down the line.
dancer, because supposedly his head's hanging over the gates. But
Right. Nope.
No.
Get
No.
the fuck out of my face with that shit.
Mel says that Stannis needs to show the realm a sign of his power. And Stannis is like, bitch, I don't have the men to do that, though. And Selyse is like, oh, you have more men than Aegon the Conqueror did when he took Westeros.
Right, but no dragons.
You ain't got a dragon, though. And Mel is like, give me the boy. Edric Storm, the boy in question. And this has been a topic of discussion for a hot minute now. As we know, Edric Storm is the bastard child of Robert Baratheon and Selyse's cousin, I believe.
Sure. Yes.
Who slept in Selyse and Stannis' marital bed the night of their wedding and defiled it, according to them, and birthed this bastard Edric Storm, who was at Storm's End and is now at Dragonstone under care of his uncle, his caring,
Loving.
doting,
Wonderful.
loving,
So good.
chill as fuck uncle.
So there's also rumors and speculation
Ooh.
that the dragons and beasts of Dragonstone, in the architecture,
Okay.
can be brought to life.
Sure.
And so
We're jumping ahead a little bit
am
there.
I? Well,
Yeah, like
go
that's on his walk that he's pondering that, but like I'm down. Let's clown.
Well, because we're talking Edric Storm.
Yeah, break it down.
We just bore witness to the Red Wedding, and we know, because we're full spoiler, we said it before, if you're still here,
What are you
it's your
doing?
own damn
Right,
fault.
like-
The Purple Wedding is coming up soon.
Sure
We're going to see
is.
some Joffrey slaughter
Showcase,
soon,
yeah.
which is wonderful. It's going to be a fun one to see. Again, not much to Actually, I say that one has more speculation surrounding
100%.
it than the Red Wedding.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
with the
There's some
Sansa,
in
getting
the
to see
Tyrells,
the Tyrell
like, the
stuff.
ongoing threads there. Sure, absolutely.
And do you think we're going to see dragons in Dragonstone, not like ones that Dany arrives with? Do you think
No.
something's going to burst out?
I think it's all metaphorical.
I mean, we know that doesn't happen with Edric here, of course.
Here,
You know,
no, I think the dragons from stone is symbolizing like the kind of Dragonmon type imagery of. I think I'm referencing the dragon right there, but like Dragonstone's like basically an active fucking volcano, and like dragon eggs and stuff, like dragon hatched from stone type of like that imagery is what I more think. The Valerians were known to like craft shit with magic and weird shit, and so I think the dragons are just sick ass architecture.
Sweet.
No, I don't. It's like I want to believe, but no, I don't think they're actual dragons turned to stone, and I think Melisandre is just as she even says herself, inaccurately reading the prophecy.
Right.
And what it means. Because, yes, I do believe Dragonstone will see dragons. Dany's.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, skirting back, Davos kind of starts mentioning to Stannis how kinslaying
Yeah,
is
Selyse
not
and
good.
Axel are begging Stannis to give Edric to the flames, fucking psychos here. And he says, Stannis, and I liked this line, so I noted it, says, whatever Robert did, whatever his faults, the boy is not at fault. And it's just a great, like, Stannis is aware of this. He is
Generational trauma.
Generational trauma. He is resistant to this, which I think just should be noted that, yes, he killed the fuck out of Renly.
Right. He's only mostly a piece of shit.
He's
there are
only,
some parts
like,
that aren't.
There's lines for him still that he's not willing to
Yet.
cross.
Not
Right.
yet.
It hasn't gotten desperate enough. Absolutely, I will own that. But, like, right now, right here, it would be easy. And like that, like, we learn in this chapter that Stannis has no fucking love for Edric, like, at all. Even the name, like, I like the breakdown that Stannis does of the name Edric Storm. He has no reason to be protecting the boy, and yet he is still kind of resistant and hesitant. And, like, I do think it's a direct correlation to Renly.
Right.
He's already done some fucking kinslaying, and, like, he's been dreaming of it and shit. Like, he regrets it after the fact, and so I think that is sort of on the forefront of, like, am I going to regret killing this boy even more who looks the spitting image of both Robert and Renly?
Especially having that added benefit that he is truly innocent. Renly did
that's what
try to step in front
Edric
of the
is
line
here,
and,
is serving. He's
Right.
a good kid. Selyse
likes him.
Like,
right.
they're doing lessons together. We see that he has a good rapport with both of them. He's a little, proud.
Pompous a little
but,
bit, but like that's fine.
Right.
Proud is a better word, not pompous.
He's
yeah,
got
absolutely.
Devin and Shireen to fucking call him out and, tone that down as they go. But, right. And so... Melisandre's physical touch does get him to relent a little bit, as he does admit that it would be wondrous to see a dragon wake from stone. Now, that line, I wonder if that's not going to come back to haunt Stannis in some way. Like, if maybe his death isn't necessarily in, like, the cold snow by the biting winds.
Well, I forget the exact...
Because he sees a vision of a king, and his crown is on fire, and then the king is burned up by, he says he saw this in the flames.
Right.
And he doesn't need Melisandre to tell. Like, what if his end is by dragonfire?
So my question is...
And that'd be cool.
Do you don't think maybe he's seeing the past, and he just saw Viserys' death, and that's all, like, this crown of fire and...
No. I think fire and gold is very distinguishable.
Sure.
Viserys is like a bloodless death, and... I think it's pretty visually... I think the metaphor here is either Stannis is consumed by this path of R'hllor.
So, yeah,
Or all this dragon, it'd be miraculous. What if the last thing he ever sees is, like, a dragon up in the north covered in snow, looks like it's breaking out of stone.
Yeah, so I
and then,
definitely subscribe more to that with...
I've never considered Dany being Stannis' executioner, but I love
Stannis dismisses everybody, and it's just Davos and him. Davos is kind of going through saying the prophecies that she's been running her mouth about, and one of them being the dragons hatched from dead stone. And I could definitely... Like, there's all this talk of her seeing Dany.
Yeah.
And I definitely could see it coming to a point where... Because she's already... we assume that she's misinterpreting Stannis for Jon.
For Jon Snow,
and
right, yeah.
so I could absolutely see it as this, she still needed him for this, to get where she's going, but Dany being she's supposed to be working towards getting to Dany and Jon together.
Right.
But that is going to lead to Stannis dying by Dany.
Yeah, no, I certainly think Stannis is a necessary stepping stone for Mel on whatever R'hllor path she's on.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, just to bring it back a bit, you had mentioned that Davos was basically saying kinslaying is abominable.
Yeah.
And Melisandre gets pissy at that, and then Davos is like, "Yo, who did your leeches actually even fucking kill?"
Right.
Like
2/3 of the usurpers are dead.
And she asks him, "Do you doubt R'hllor's power?" And he does not. He remembers well the shadow that she birthed, and he knows he's got to be careful here, or a shadow may come for him. And I don't like that one, because, like, Davos may very well be fighting the others, and the others are absolutely described as these, like, pale shadows.
Right,
and so,
right, sure.
Ugh.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. But then, of course, right, he's like, 2, you burned 3 leeches, bitch. Even onion smugglers can count.
Stannis, Stannis loves this shit, dude.
He got you there, bitch.
What up with that one?
Yeah, Stannis becomes hype, man.
You're going to eat crow, because Joffrey's gone here.
Well,
soon,
then, like, Mel straight up throws down the gauntlet, and she's like, so if Joffrey dies,
then
surrounded by all his little king's horses,
then you're all in?
Then you're buying in? Like, then that'll prove the Lord? And Stannis is like, it might.
Maybe.
And Davos is like, or not. And Selyse and Axel are already drinking the Kool-Aid, so they're like, it'll happen. It probably already has. Ooh. And Stannis is like, are you fucking trained birds? Like, can we are not at a night fire.
How about an original thought
Turn
there, Karen?
it down.
Come on.
And so, yeah, he sends them away, but Davos lingers, as you said, and mentions Edric again, and...
Linger just popped into my head now.
And, yeah, Stannis is like, yeah, I don't want to talk about the boy, and Davos is like, but Shireen loves him. Not like that.
What is... the life of one boy over the entire kingdom.
Yeah. How many other boys and girls are there in the realm? The dark shall devour them all, she says.
Ugh.
She speaks of prophecies, Davos. Heroes reborn in the sea, dragons woken from stone. She claims all signs point to me. I didn't ask for this, but dare I disregard her? We must do our duty. No, great or small, we must do our duty. And that's Stannis right there, man, and I love that. I actually think that's a banger fucking line for him.
I think that it's worrisome that they're just scared of her, so they're like, what, we can't, what, who are we to oppose her? Like, you've seen, she gave birth to a murder shadow.
Well, that,
like,
and the shit she's saying is scary. Like, the dark shall take them all. She's speaking of heroes reborn in the sea. Interesting.
I think that Davos shows more honor here,
Well,
because he seems less scared about it.
I also think that Stannis, unfortunately, is one of those smaller duties, not the greater.
Sure, yeah.
In this equation, I think Davos might be one of those greater duties.
Hell
in this
yeah,
equation.
he is.
And even Mel may be one of those greater duties in this equation. But she says that she's seen Stannis facing the dark, wielding Lightbringer. And Stannis is like, the sword glows pretty, but, like, it granted me no balloons on the Blackwater, so, like, a dragon would have, though. Aegon had dragons, and they would not have named him Conqueror otherwise. And, like,
right.
I like the setup for the nuclear weapon that Dany
is growing into.
Has 3 of them now. Like, it's that dragons change out, and, like, in the show, Charles Dance, wonderful. Tywin said, like, Aegon changed the rules. Dragons are so fucking unfair in combat. Again, especially, like, Dance of the Dragons, House of the Dragon, great show, all that shit. That aside, one side having dragons, it's fucking genocide.
Right,
it's a massacre. Yeah. And, like, Dany has 3 of them. If she can find 2 other riders and, like...
And that they haven't... Since the last Dragons,
right? No one's prepared.
They haven't advanced enough in society to where even their preparations are at most no better than they were when the last Dragons were. They're ballistas, they're scorpions, they're these larger
You might get someone clever like Tyrion who equips it with, like, wildfire or something, but he's gonna be on the side of the dragons.
And yeah, because obviously we're talking about the books here, not the show, where they forgot that Euron was around the corner or whatever stupid death leads to those dragons being lost. Because don't get me wrong, I absolutely think 2 of the 3 dragons are going to be lost.
I think
one's dead and one's going to the Night King. I do think that he is gonna get his hands on one of those, unless he gets his own. He's working with Euron. Who the fuck knows what's gonna happen up there? But
that, if anything, like, I think the dragons waking from stone could be interpreted as something, like, great and wondrous. It could be something Euron does, and it's not, like, dragons per se. It's something gross and horrible.
Right. Maybe he fucking blows a horn that vibrates the volcano and makes it explode.
Like, it's that, or, like, taps into the Dragonstone magic. But, like, Euron, we love him. So, yeah, they're dragon might. Stannis knows the cost. Davos asks him the cost, and he claims to know the cost because he's seen things in the flames himself. And this is when he brings up the crown of fire, the king with the crown of fire burning. His own crown consumed him, Davos. You think I need Mel or you to tell me what that means? And then Stannis moves, and his shadow falls over King's Landing, and just the blocking of the scene I liked. And he says, if Joffrey should die, what's the life of one bastard boy against a kingdom? To which Davos, in a, I think, parallel to one R.I.P. Ned Stark, perhaps?
Everything.
One bastard boy is everything against a kingdom.
Right, which is exactly what Ned did with Gendry.
He betrayed his with Gendry and Jon Snow.
And Jon,
but
well, sure, that guy
Gendry,
too.
No, like, I was thinking Jon, and you meant, like, Gendry. Gendry's a good one too, but... Jon was more like he betrayed Robert at the height of their the peak of their friendship. Of Robert started this war for your sister, and Robert just became king and we're riding high and like
Hell yeah.
Yeah, all the Targaryens are dead, bro. We got him. Fist bump. JK, okay, I'm gonna run back to Winterfell with this little bundle. Don't worry about it. Nothing's under here.
Don't even think.
It's just a little hot dog.
That ain't nothing.
A little hot dog named Jon Snow. And I just like that Davos has that Ned Stark honor of like, it's children. Sure, he's not the greatest husband. Neglects maybe some of his own kids, but like, you know.
So to me, Davos is almost a slightly, I don't want to say smarter Ned Stark, but more, I mean, streetwise because of the
not
the
growing
smuggler.
up a lord.
He's not as naive to, that's why his undying devotion to Stannis' honor and the code that he lives by is similar, but smarter than Ned Stark's blind justice. There are levels to where Davos is.
Well, that's
willing
also
to
where
cross
he's
a line.
blindest, though, is with Stannis. Like
Right.
this blind devotion to him,
Sure,
is also his weakness, which is great. It makes for the complex because how can you accurately and correctly serve the guy that you're fully 100% devoted to and want to please all the time, and that's the fun narrow line we get to see Davos walk.
That on the other side of that, he is, because of his little honor-bound system, that's why he's so outspoken and the only one who's outspoken.
Well, that's why
with
Stannis
Davos,
likes him. Yeah,
with
yeah,
Stannis,
yeah.
And so,
and he's
that's again why he's such a complex, fun character.
Right.
Contradicts
but
itself.
It's a neat comparison to Nettie Stark.
Mm-hmm.
And at the everything, Stannis is like, go away.
Go.
So he does. And outside, the smell of the sea wind makes him miss his home.
Oh.
And so he starts tripping out over the architecture of Dragonstone. There's dragons, and a couple more dragons. Like the kitchen is made of one. The steam comes out of the nostrils, very
Sick.
cutesy. The towers and the bridges are like tails and wings and shit. It's dope as fuck if you got a thing for dragons, And he does start to wonder if they're real, somehow maybe turned to stone, which is interesting.
Right.
Basilisks do exist, so whether or not petrification is part
it's not
of
really something we've had elaborated on.
But he then discusses this with Salah as Salah joins him.
Fuck yeah, Sally.
And I do enjoy it because Salladhor Saan, almost in what I would see in this society being viewed as a odd thing, slips his arm through Davos as they're walking. And to me that seems very...
Because isn't that also how...
people in the free cities,
Illyrio
maybe?
and
in the free cities.
Well, because Varys and him did it when they were walking in the dungeons, I believe.
Well, sure.
And so Salladhor Saan is more of that.
1,000%.
And so I don't think for anybody to see Salladhor Saan walking that way with anybody would be out of the norm. He would, he's mere whatever. He's on the other side. So
it's
that's
just
more
it's a very
customary.
it felt almost affectionate with these two, not in a homosexual way, they're into each other, but it's to show their familiarity, and it works. But it caught me off I wonder if this is something that would catch side glances as they're making their way through the yard.
I think it's just because they
or
do
if
have.
Salah's just got the swag to be like, hey.
I think it's kind
What
of
up,
the.
bitch?
I think he has the swag where nobody is questioning it. But I also think it's because of how tight they really are, because their history goes back.
Yeah. And I mean even their discussion, because Davos is basically asking him if he's forgiven, and Salladhor Saan says forgiven, yes, but forgetting, no.
Right.
And it's all about basically the coin that Davos has cost Salladhor Saan. There were a lot of goodies on Claw Isle that could have been his. Lord Celtigar's got a trained fucking eagle that he had his eyes on.
Shit, yeah.
A horn to summon krakens. Perhaps the creatures that were something to do with stone. Excuse me.
Dying on.
We were just talking about Euron.
Sure.
Euron will get his hands on this horn.
I
don't like that thought. Just so we're all aware.
He also had mentioned the fact that Davos was getting in touch and contact with anti-Rolorians.
That the Queen's men love Davos not at all.
Oof.
Yet he hears that the hand has been making friends of his own, making hands of his own.
He's got a bunch of little hands.
Little hands.
Weird.
Little digits. And Davos thinks that a smuggler must know men as well as tides, and that he breaks it down. Many on Dragonstone have kind of stopped sipping Melisandre's Kool-Aid. The small folk, of course, because, like, they don't give a shit.
Right. And then Blackwater fucked them.
But some knights
her.
and lordlings as well, because, yeah, shit on the Blackwater was rough. And so Davos began to seek them out. And he wants to choose a crew. And so we get Sir Gerald Gower, Sir Andrew Estermont, the bastard of Night Song, Kingsmen, not Queensmen.
Not Queensmen.
People loyal to Stannis, not Melisandre, which is becoming rarer and rarer to find on Dragonstone. And Sala is just glad Davos has someone watching his back. Yeah. So he asks if Stannis is going to give the boy to the flames, and Davos is adamant that he won't. He could not harm his own blood.
Ooh.
Lord Renly will be glad to hear this.
Yeah,
Sala throws back, which, like, ouch.
So I think, because it was right before that also that Salladhor mentioned crews without tongues. And I just...
Euron, again?
Yeah.
Euron's looming over this chapter, you say?
So
and, like, Claw
heavy.
Isle, he'll be looming over it. And, like, fucking Old Town, he'll be looming over it with Krakens. Like my dreams, he looms over them. Yeah, Euron Crow's Eye, scary. We don't like him. We haven't even met him. We don't like him.
You're freaking me out.
I'm freaking out, man.
I see that.
Why is there so much Euron in this fucking chapter?
You're freaking me out.
I don't, it's Davos.
Right.
Not Euron.
They're all seafarers, dude.
Anyway, Renly was a traitor. Not Stannis, sorry.
Davos.
I can confuse him sometimes. Renly was a traitor, Edric an innocent, and Stannis just a man. All right.
Great.
Kind of a shitty man. So Salladhor is heading back to sea, and he leaves Davos with a warning. The higher a man climbs, the farther he has to fall. And then the immediate next scene is him climbing the stairs of a tower.
To Pylos?
Sure. Doesn't matter where. The fucking imagery itself, like, little smack in the face, like, it's just such good imagery of, like, he's going here to learn to read because he's the hand, and that's his first, like, I need to learn to read, a hand should.
Guess what he's going to find? Bad news, boys.
News. It's that crawl higher that Sala literally just fucking told him. But, yeah, so he climbs the stairs to Sea Dragon Tower to the Maester's chamber under the rookery. He doesn't need reminding of how far he's risen, and he feels very ill-suited to the task, but Pylos disagrees, basically shooting it out some, past hands and why they failed, and says Stannis knows what he has in Davos, I think. Which, like, good on Pylos.
One of those guys he named.
And
Otto Hightower.
Correct.
Love it. As a failed hand.
Yep.
Great.
Davos can't read, so Pylos offered to teach him, and it's too kindly an offer to refuse, plus he needs to his hand. And so he had been making his way here to frown and struggle over scrolls for quite a while now at this point. And, like, as hard as he is on himself, he can read fucking great by now. Like, he gets through that fucking first letter pretty, like, I don't know why he's, like, being like, oh, like, it hurts. So, like, you got it, dude. You're just, like,
just practice.
Now it's just, right, now it's just getting the repetition. Like, you're there, homie. But, yeah. So, the little kids, Devin, Shireen, Edric, are miles ahead of him, which kind of shames him. But Patchface, lurking outside the Maester, probably got kicked out of the lesson because of his little belsy bells. And he gives Davos the creepy one, the...
Under the sea, the old fish eat the young fish.
That's the one.
So, do we want to dive into that? And so, is that in any way reference to him going in right now? And doing his lesson, the old fish and the young fish in there? Or is it more of the, Cersei and the older generation holding back the newer generation by, being cutthroat, savage fucks that won't stop what they're doing?
and then a fucking we don't know with Patch Face.
Sure.
Both, neither. Like, it could be invoking the fucking old gods. I don't know, man. I think that yes, it's both in that intentional. Yeah, the older generation has fucked things up. A little close to home. Sorry.
Generational
trauma. Yes, the older generation has fucked things up through their lying, their scheming, their bullshit hierarchy system that keeps, people, women, anyone that isn't in power already down. But also, I do think it's the sort of the violent new generation we're getting.
Right.
Look at Arya.
Right.
Look at fucking people like Edric and Devon here, who have kind of already been prepping for shit that they really shouldn't have
battles and wars.
Shireen even, she survived a battle with Grayscale. She's gonna go through some shit here coming up as well. It's
Jane Poole.
Oh, Jane Poole is a rough one, but yes, Patchface. Those, so much has been said on Patchface, but. Yeah, Pylos is currently in lesson with the 3 kids. Davos is muy proud to see Devon among a princess and a king's bastard.
Sick.
And is proud that he's a lord already as a young man,
right,
he'll kind of grow into it.
He's not going to go through the struggle I'm going through now of trying to learn how to read as an older man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about Dornish invasions when he walks in, which is just fun and interesting that... they're going to be well learned. His son learning beside a
princess
prince and a princess,
king's bastard. And Edric immediately, Devon and Edric greet him, and Edric immediately asks about his uncle, who's been avoiding him. So Davos tells him he's well, which is not the truth. But the kids are reading about King Daeron the First, who, Dorne.
Right.
LOL.
And Edric gets boastful.
Yes,
this is where we
does.
see his pride out on his sleeve.
Robert's the best ever. No one ever whooped his ass.
Whoop, whoop.
Woo!
That boar got him. Ooh, too soon.
His wife got him.
Ooh, too soon.
And he's boastful. And when Devon asks Pylos for clarification, he's like, "I said so, didn't I?
Didn't I tell you?"
Oh boy, that privilege. Let's check it at the fucking door. But Pylos sends them all away. It's Davos' turn. And so he's like, "Do you want to try your hand at Daeron? His conquest of Dorne? It's actually quite well written." No. And Davos is like, "No, I'm not here for fucking history tales, bro. I'm here to do hand duties. So
give me some letters.
Give me a letter." And Pylos is like, "All right, there's nothing news." I'm like, "What the fuck is in the junk? It's in the spam folder here. Take this." And Davos struggles to read out the letter, but again, does great. We know what the letter...
Night's Watch, murder ghosts, frozen
wildlings,
in the night.
Mormont's probably dead.
Army in the north.
Scattered men. And Davos thinks of his time, seeing the wall, meeting wildlings back in his youth, trading with them, and thinks that, men are pretty much men, which Pylos agrees that, wildlings are men, just like men here are men.
They're just people.
Peoples is peoples. And he asks, "Are you certain Stannis hasn't seen this letter?" And he's like, "Well, I took it to the former hand," and he was like, "Oh, fuck the Night's Watch.
That's not important at all."
And so, I kind of just kept it. Did I fuck up? And he was like, No. You followed your hand's commands. You're fine. And then
he
Davos,
connects some dots.
Yeah,
man.
He starts disassociating a little bit. He thinks about Mel's words, the stuff getting darker, a ring of torches in the snow.
Oof.
The dark coming and gathering to swallow everybody up. And Pylos is like, "Hey, you suddenly look very ill. Are you well?" And he's like, "I want a new letter." Maybe a tabloid, something on one of the Kardashians.
Aliens and something bullshit.
And he's stumbling to get it out. He's like, "This one is too," and Pylos is like, "Difficult?" And he's like, "No, frightening, troubling.
Real. It's too real."
There's ghosts at the wall and stuff, and so we leave Davos probably picking up some, boring ass letter from some boring ass lord. But it ends there. He's learning to read. Night's Watch has put out the call, which, as full spoiler, we know Stannis will answer. This will be his
A big turning point.
way to prove his power to the realm. He'll be going up north to help fight the wildlings. And I love Davos.
I heart Davos.
He's a silly, flawed little man, but I love him.
He's great.
I like Davos chapters in this book, and it's mostly on this reread, as we were discussing, especially right where we're at right now, because we're getting sort of the fallout, the Red Wedding fallout. And Davos is still new to the series, though, as a POV.
Right.
So, he's still growing and developing while we're dealing with the fallout from all these other characters that we've already come to know. So he's kind of the fresh eyes that are new stories are kind of coming up around. And I like that formula for this book. I think George does that well to
having a
pop
different
him
input,
in as
insight.
One of the breakups for the Red Wedding, give you a breather. And I think accurately so, because depending on how invested you are in Jon and Ygritte, it's there's a Red Wedding, Wildlings at the Wall, 1-2 kind of.
And then how far off are we from Purple Wedding?
Well, I mean, no one's sad.
But it's just that boom, boom,
but
boom.
Yes,
like
it
these,
is a rush of punches that get
intense
hit.
scenes.
And so, Davos being thrown in the chunker here. We get all this creepy zealotry, cult worship of Melisandre, almost more than R'hllor, which I think is very important. And, it's Melisandre's power are what these people are believing in.
Right.
Not necessarily R'hllor's. And to the point where people are, claiming Stannis may be ensorcelled and, she's...
And then couple that with all of the Euron imagery throughout the chapter as well.
What the flying fuck?
We're getting the other side of that. Is that just to... It's because, part of it could be that Mel isn't in the wrong. She is seeing the light side that needs to be the one to prevail in the end.
1,000%. I think she is.
And so it could very well be that this chapter is showing both sides, and Euron with the Krakens.
Right.
And,
for sure.
R'hllor and the dragons.
The presence of the
light
Great Other
and,
is looming here
and
as well.
So it's just that.
And it's that. I don't know. I don't at this point. At this point, I think he might have had, Euron's story kind of brewing in his mind and, going, because, Euron's...
Yeah, and it's
it could mentioned. Be... And so that, I could see it being the seeding and the gardening.
Mel is going to be R'hllor's Victarion, where, Jon Snow and Euron are the head fucking... And Dany even with Jon Snow, but, I mean, who the fuck knows where we're going? Because we have a whole extra king as well.
Victarion's got... Moqorro, who is R'hllor,
right? And so it's that fun, having that extra different side feeding it.
All right.
Oh Lord.
Do you think if Mel, turn your ears away if you're sensitive. Do you think if Mel and Victarion hooked up, and a little finger blast in action got happening with his R'hllor charged arm, and she's supposedly R'hllor just sustains her. She doesn't is that connected? Is that the fingers touch the boom nuke goes off? That's the negative and positive charge. You know what I'm saying? And so all it takes is Victarion and Mel getting together.
Maybe
couple
if
of
first
drinks.
He retrieves a king's heart from some boy's chest and to get the king's blood.
Oh, a king's blood.
To
Sure.
But with a hand like that, it can't just be choking the life out of the guy. There's got to be the blood.
Jokes aside, I'm very curious what Melisandre's reaction would be. I don't know.
Well, that's
She'll fucking see his weird arm.
That's what's so funny is that we've got worshippers of the same god on opposite ends of the
Moqorro's
fight.
Scary. He's I love Moqorro because he's saying some real shit on that ship where he's Tyrion. He sees Tyrion in a circle of fucking dragons and he's roaring all crazy and bruh. And then gave Victarion this cool smoke fucking RPG arm. All right. So
that thing's wild.
Weirdly apocalyptic imagery from Euron and stuff in this one, which I really just thought was interesting. But that was Davos 5, y'all.
Sweet.
It was a good one.
It was a really good one.
It's a good palate cleanser, and then to get all cold for next one with John.
Yeah. John 6 or 7.
Hold on,
don't
I
know.
closed my book like an idiot. I have it written.
I
Nate
don't
doesn't.
know.
John 7.
7.
So yeah, John, wildlings attacking. Ygritte may be in there. He just fled from the wildlings at Queen's Crown, where Bran was spying. So like, yeah. Oh, and he's injured. He took a fucking arrow to the
He got
knee of his thigh.
He got fucked up.
So join us for John. It'll be a good time. It's a great battle scene, and then Ygritte.
Ygritte. Yeah, like, subscribe. Give us reviews. We appreciate that stuff. It helps us out. Make sure all your friends can find us too. I know. Don't look at me like that.
They're not going to find us now with that voice.
Send email if you really want.
Yeah, if you have thoughts
like
about this chapter, the next chapter. We're trying to just kind of push through the middle hump of this book and then get into like the new stuff. The Purple Wedding's coming up. That'll be real fun.
It's going to be feasts, friends. That's what we're really jonesing for.
I don't expect the John episode to be terribly lengthy.
It's pretty. Again, we're at the point where all the stuff that we've been talking about happening is, and so we're just gonna kind of be going through the chapter, giving our thoughts on that, and getting over the hump.
But yeah, once we're past, then you'll start getting those lengthier, juicier, theorizing ones from us, especially once we feast. We're gonna be fucking idiots again. It's gonna be like Garrett his cold hands type shit again.
Yes.
Where we're just throwing out the stupid.
Hey, that was
shit,
solid.
So. Anyway, join us for John and Ballad to Harris.
Peace.